Welcome everybody to the Naturally Healthy Pets channel. This is our Pet Food Awareness Week. And so the pet food industry is a little bit like the Wild West. There's a lot of topics we're trying to cover. Today we have one of the best experts that we could have on this topic, Julie Ann Lee. She's the co-founder of Adored Beast Apothecary. She formulates holistic pet care products, which is an understatement. They have a long line of really novel, first of their kind, high quality products. She's a pioneer studying the animal microbiome, developing protocols for optimizing gut health and really just holistic health. She's also part of research and development, examining, producing, and formulating unique, first in the industry, species-specific probiotics and prebiotics for animals. So welcome, Julianne.
Thank you so much.
So today we really wanted you to talk about flavorings, because flavorings are a huge piece of not just the pet food industry, but the pet supplement industry as well. And that you have like your natural and artificial flavors. That is a very big umbrella. You also have some actual natural things that you can add that have their own benefits for flavoring. So could we at least start there with the basics of what are flavorings and why should people care about whether or not they are in products they consume?
So this was a huge eye-opening education for me, because we weren't using any flavorings until we really started digging into cat products. So when we started launching cat products, we needed to sort of up the palatability with certain things. Like dogs don't mind the taste of slippery out. Most dogs like Gut Soothe and things like that we produce. They don't seem to mind it. They'll lick it off people's hands. It tastes sort of licoricey, some of them, depending on what's in them. And so we've always used whatever's in the product as its natural flavor. Like we've never had to add anything. And then I went to source some natural flavoring for the cat products. And we went through a whole bunch of different things, and we contacted a lot of different companies and found a company that we felt like had a lot of integrity and seemed to really have great quality control. Like we're very anal about everything that we do from sourcing. And we contacted them about a natural beef flavor. And so we got a sample and we tested the cats and everybody liked it. And then I said, okay, well, are you sure it's natural? And the people that were sourcing it for us at the time, which we had an incredible girl from California doing it. And she's like, yep, I've talked to the guy. It's 100% natural. So I said, okay, can you just send me the COA? Because I just want to see it. And I'm just going to read this to you. Okay. Because for me, I was like, okay, hold on. So the description of the product is natural beef liver flavor powder. So the ingredient list is maltodextrin, 90 to 100%, silicone dioxide, 1 to 10%, natural flavors, 1 to 10%. So I'm like, okay, well then clearly the natural flavor. Well, first of all, I was like, okay, there's no way I'm using this when it's 90% maltodextrin. But I thought, right. Okay, well, I wonder what the natural flavors are. It's got to be like beef, I wonder if it's from New Zealand. I wonder if it's grass fed. I wonder what it's from. So then you go down and you look into something called the product description, and it talks about components. It talks about something that might be present in it, and then something that it has presence in the same manufacturing plant. So I'm reading this, and it's, there's no tree nuts and almonds or Brazil nuts or hazelnuts or lychee or pistachio. It goes to this big, huge list that's not in there. Could it be present in the company? I think yes. So then it goes all the way down: sesame seeds, milk and milk products, eggs and egg products, fish, soy, sulfur. So they're all like, no, it's not in it. Aspartame, no, awesome. And then it says animal products, no. And I'm like, if it's beef, how is there no animal in it? Like you know, as far as I remember, a beef is an animal. So I looked down farther, and she had guaranteed 1,000,000% that it was natural beef flavor, right? Like this is considered by the FDA. All flavor ingredients contained in this product are approved for the use and are listed as generally recognized as safe in a reliable published association list. It's very well written to skim over and really not be for you not to be aware. So I got on the blower with these people and I broke it down to really understand what flavor means. Like, what does actually flavor mean? So they have to mimic the smell. They compared it to perfume. If it says flavored by lemon, let's just use that. And then you look into the ingredients and you can see that there's lemon concentrate in it or something, right? Then you know that, okay, well, they're making it not taste like fish oil by putting real lemon in it, not just lemon flavor. So it took a while for me to find anything that, because with us, we only use active ingredients, right? We don't put any fillers. We won't use anything that isn't real. So I looked around and finally we wound up using something called freeze-dried bovine liver powder. So, I mean, the first thing when you look on a certificate of analysis is it says source pasture-fed New Zealand beef. So there's no there's no questioning that's what it is, right? It goes into what color it is, and it
Absolutely.
goes into the specifications of fat and protein and all and ash and everything. But it's difficult. So what I usually say to people is that if it's not front and center, it probably isn't. Because if something's organic or something is non-GMO or something is going to support that product for someone choosing that product, it's very front and center rather than you having to look and sort of try and figure out what it is. So flavoring is it's a tough one because again, it's very hard to look at on a label.
And I think that's a big piece of the pet food industry that people don't even know about, because a lot of the back end of it is really pet feed, and they're trying to turn these low quality, basically waste ingredients from other industries into something that our cats and dogs will actually eat. And so that's where the palatants became such a big industry, because they could save all this money using these low quality ingredients, pressing them into these cute little bite-sized nuggets. But if the pets won't eat them, nobody's going to keep buying that food. And so they will actually, after they've gone through the high heat processes, and who knows what it tastes like, probably not anything great, they will spray it with these palatants, which sometimes it is straight up just a synthetic chemical cocktail that has no natural derivatives at all. It's just something made up in a lab to trick your brain into, oh, I'm eating this yummy beef liver, which it's just chemical soup, really. And
It
so I
is.
think something that we don't talk about a lot, that's front and center in the pet food industry, but also in the pet supplement industry,
Yeah.
it could be very common. And so that's something that in our store we will look for, because people will put together these really wonderful products that have medicinal
Yeah.
mushrooms and all these wonderful things in it, and they slap
Yeah.
a natural artificial bacon flavor or something in it. And for us, that we don't touch that, just because a lot of the studies are showing that those synthetic additives, whether it's a fragrance, a flavor, whatever, over time, you're increasing your chance for cancer, all sorts of inflammatory conditions. They're really not tolerated very well by the body.
No.
So, of course, if it's in high volumes in pet food, that's even worse. But even in supplements, is something that we keep an eye out for. If it has natural bacon flavor,
Yeah.
half the time a manufacturer will assure us, oh, no, don't worry, it's vegetarian. There's no bacon in the natural bacon flavor. I'm like, well, that kind of makes it even worse. That's even
Exactly.
scarier. What actually is in it? And
Is
like you
it?
said, it probably is a carrier with a chemical soup inside.
Chemical soup, and I was going to mention this, and you said it, is that it's not just even the chemical toxicity to, being a carcinogenic, which often it is. Like if you even look at the cosmetic industry and you look at perfumes in the cosmetic industry, they are considered carcinogenic, a lot of perfumes, right? So now you're ingesting them on top of everything. So, even this product, it's like silicone dioxide, maltodextrin, and a natural flavor. So you're having that layered effect, right? It's like an accumulation. So one product that might be not, or ingredient that might not be horrific, right? Or it might be very low on the carcinogenic scale. The problem with flavors, perfumes, cosmetics, and even supplements, you're allowed to, when you use them, you use a lot of the low ones, the accumulative effect is massive. So then it becomes from very low carcinogenic to extremely high, because you're using 16 different carcinogenic chemicals. This is very, very big in cosmetics, right? So in creams and stuff. And we have to watch that with animals too, right? Like shampoos and conditioners and stuff that you put on pads and stuff that you stick in ears, that when they're topical, they're considered allowable for things to go on you topically that you're not allowed to ingest, right? So there's a lot of that accumulative effect going on when it comes to topical stuff. The problem is that when you ingest something, it does go through the pathways. It's kind of silly because it goes through the pathways of being detoxified by the gut, the bowels, the liver, the kidneys, all of that stuff. When you put it on your skin or your dog's skin or your dog's pads or in your cat's ear or whatever, it absorbs immediately into the bloodstream, right? So the pathway is more direct even without having to be detoxified. So the whole kind of flavors, colors, cosmetics, topicals is a very interesting thing. And when it comes to pet food, it's a whole different kettle of fish, right? Like it's like what they're allowed to spray on. Like it says right in this that this is considered safe with the FDA.
In our experience, when we are working with a whole food diet, typically we don't have to add anything specifically for flavor. And even there's a high quality pet food company right now putting together a cat recipe. And as you mentioned, cats can be a little bit pickier than dogs. They already have a successful dog recipe out, and they were making their cat recipes more palatable by just changing the ratios of the whole food ingredients. So they still weren't adding any synthetics, weren't using anything specific for flavoring. They're just tweaking the ratio of whole food ingredients so that cats naturally like it more. And in the case that you gave us, you were still able to find a liver granular that was actually made out of bovine liver.
Yes. Like as far as food, because at my vet hospital, we were like one of the very first we're the first clinic in Canada to support and have raw food in our practice. So I was working with a woman that was doing it, and she used to just do dogs. And then when she switched over to cats, that's what we found. Like when you're using heart, like with taurine, and you're using things that cats naturally would be eating, are definitely more palatable to cats. It just becomes like the law of nature. If you follow kind of what they really need when it comes to food, you shouldn't have to put any flavors in them at all. Supplements might be a bit different because you're putting in things like slippery elm and marshmallow root and licorice roots and things like that. And cats can be a little more picky that way. So when we looked at the freeze-dried liver and then it was actually like a glandular, it has masses of amounts of benefits for them. And then when you sit back and think, well, it's something that is naturally, for cats being more carnivore than dog, would be attracted to and also benefit from.
It's important to consider. And really, when we're talking about pet food and supplements, I mean, there might be the rare exception, but in general, you really don't have to resort to those artificial flavors when it comes to cat and dog food and supplements, because there are natural things like liver and other meat-based things that people are using for flavorings or to make treats.
Yeah, like I didn't think that the cats would like soil and sea, but my cats love it, and it's because it tastes like swamp water, right? It tastes like fish. So it's, it's the chlorella in it, and they gobble it up. Like they have no problem eating it at all. But I also think that what I wanted to say just quickly, because you're always reminding me of things that when you're saying things, because you're like great at this. But the what's kind of cool is that the other thing that I don't like, I'm such a synergistic person, and everything that I formulate, I use every ingredient in there, I formulate it in the way that it becomes synergistic with each other. And people might think I'm a little woo-woo. Putting something that's so polar, complete opposite into a product just to change a flavor or to make it more palatable, to me, off balances the whole energetic value of that product, because the body still recognizes it, right? So here it is taking this stuff and it's triggering this and it's stimulating this and it's doing its magic. And then all of a sudden something comes in, even in the most minuscule amount, it completely goes, like, okay, this doesn't particularly fit into this mix. We got to just take this now and we got to detox this. We got to like put that puppy somewhere else. So to me, it interferes with the flow of healing when you put something in that isn't beneficial to the body, even if it's inert, right? Even if it doesn't hurt the body, if it's just this huge amount of filler, like that's what I was going to say too.
So for anybody listening, I think the moral of the story is that your high quality company is like Adored Beast, whether it's supplements or food. They really are concerned about the active ingredients having benefits, being based in actual nature, whole food ingredients. Where possible, you can have that certificate of analysis to say this actually came from a cow, not from a lab, to smell and taste like a cow.
Yeah.
And it's very important when we're talking about feeding our pets these things every day. And for the supplement companies out there, please don't hijack these nice supplement formulations with an artificial or fake natural flavoring thrown in. It just is not necessary. It's not worth it. And we really don't like it over here at Naturally Healthy Pets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it in a nutshell.
Well, thank you very much, Julianne Lee, the co-founder of Adored Beast Apothecary, and people can learn more about you and the wonderful Adored Beast Apothecary just at adoredbeast.com. We'll also link that in the description as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Julianne. You are always a treasure trove of knowledge. We love having you, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.